welcome to Chairs and
Benches.
Woo! I'm Nayoka.
And I am Tia.
For any of you guys that do not know my mom, that means you guys have not watched the Smack or Fact Challenge.
When you just
So if you guys haven't, go ahead and watch that right now. And then you just head back to this video. So as you guys can see from the title, this is a very serious topic. It's something that was very traumatizing for the entire family. But I want to make a disclaimer to let you guys know that this video is not intended to pinpoint or portray Jamaica, which is where the incident took place, in a negative way. This is just what happened to my mom. But crime and violence happen across the world. But we thought that now would be a relevant time to share the story with you guys. Hopefully, not too much of you guys experience this. But for anybody that experienced anything similar or is touched or moved by this story, please comment down below and let us know what had happened to you.
A little background about myself. I grew up in an inner city community, and that is Rockford, where I've seen a lot of stuff, but I've never experienced something like this. So my aim was to live from the inner city community and to move out and to live somewhere that would have been less of this type of situation that I was experiencing. Hence, living in Portmore would have been my first choice.
Portmore, where we had lived, you've lived there for about 20 years. Yeah, we have never experienced crime personally. It was a very quiet community, so this was a very rare situation. Yeah, so during this time of the story, I had already migrated. My dad migrated and my brother was in Canada visiting me. So it was my mommy that was home alone at this time.
Okay, so I worked in the community. I am an early childhood educator, and so I foster and care for a lot of children in the community, and also teaches a lot of children in the community. And so most of the young men and women there pass through
your hands.
Basically. Yeah. And so I have a lot of uncles and aunties and mommy and grandma who would see me on a daily basis, whether or not I actually taught their children. And so I was well known by most persons would call me teach in the community.
Yeah, she was pretty much popular, and then you did contribute a lot to the kids in the community, even the ones that did not attend the school, so she was known.
So my day usually begins 5 o'clock when I go for my morning walk, and I would use that opportunity, that time, to focus and meditate on the Creator, and then I would head back home and prepare the meal for the dog, and then I would just clean up after and then start getting myself ready to go out. But this was in the summer holidays, so my schedule had changed from 5 in the morning, and so it takes me to about 10 o'clock in the morning where it was very quiet. So the morning of the incident, I got up and I was preparing the dog's meal. While I was preparing the meal, I realized I saw a shadow coming towards the fence. So my window see outside, but you could not
see it. It's like tinted.
And so when I noticed I saw the shadow, it caught me my attention. So I started looking towards where the person passed. When I looked out, I saw a young gentleman, and he was well clean and hair well groomed. And so he stretched his hand over the fence, and he was like trying to play with the dog, like doing some hand movements like he was taming the dog. So I slightly opened the window, and I said, because I realized I did not recognize his face. So I opened the window and I asked him, can I help you? So he hesitated because he was a little frightened, because he didn't know that I was actually seeing what he was doing.
So you could see him through the windows, but he can't see you because it's tinted, so she could see him, but he didn't know somebody was looking at him. So the type of dog that we had at that time was a pit bull.
Just to help to let us be aware of our surroundings, and if anyone come in, the dog would usually make us aware. And so when I noticed he was doing that action to the dog, I said, I really don't like people playing with the dog. And he just turned and said, yeah, I have a lot of those dogs. So I said to him, but you don't see me coming on your property to play with your dogs. So I prefer you not doing that. He didn't stay for any long period of time. He just walked away and said, go.
He used that expletive. Right. So that would have been Jamaica's most offensive term for majority of the people in Jamaica. So go S your mom would be the biggest form of disrespect.
Right. So when he said that to me, only thing I respond to, I said, apparently you don't have a mother, because if you had, then you wouldn't have used those words to me. And then he walked away. Yeah. And I thought that was it. But after he left, I'm saying I've never felt so disrespected.
This would have been an unusual situation for you, because as we already said, she was respected. Everybody knew the contribution she had made.
And so after he left, I went and I picked up the phone and I called. And I said, ask her our morning is going as usual. I do that every day. And I shared the story with her that, this person came and, was a little uncomfortable with how he was acting up. And, we didn't have anything. It was nothing more than I just said,
that was a very short conversation, and a little bit weird, unusual. As soon as you told me the story, though, I felt a sense of, there was a uncomfortable feeling that came over me when she told me the story. I was listening attentively, and it just didn't sit well.
So after I hung up, then I started to become really uncomfortable. And this was nothing that I hear those words quite often, so I just started feeling uncomfortable. And then I don't know, I heard a voice say, if this guy come back, what would you do? And then I started thinking about it in a physical way and saying, he was, he's a very slim built, Indian type person. So I said, probably I'd have to. But then I thought about it and I said, no, this could not be something that is physical. It's more like a spiritual warfare. And then so I started to get more spiritual with this situation. And so I realized I was getting really deep with the Creator that is my God.
Yeah, and honestly at that time I was led to start praying too. I just knew that something did not feel right. And when we just feel something over us that don't feel right, that's what we typically do, is just pray.
Yeah, myself. And so after I finished praying and started singing, I went out to continue my activities that was planned for the day. And so going out there now, I prepared the dog meal, I put it in, I locked him in and started to clean up after and wash him. Then while I was on the outside doing my sweeping, I saw a young gentleman came up, and that was not the first gentleman that passed.
So this was another guy that came, another unfamiliar person to the community that came.
He was well clean.
So this was the second guy that looked very unfamiliar. As you know, we would know most people who was from the community.
And so I did not recognize his face, but he came very close to me and he did not look in my face, and I was looking at him and I'm saying to myself, he's so well dressed and looking like that, and he passed and he didn't say good morning.
In Jamaica. So in Jamaica, for anybody who is manners-able or looks respectful, it's very typical for us to communicate or have dialogue, even just to say good morning and just acknowledge the fact that you're passing somebody. So that's why it would be alarming that he didn't even say good morning.
And so I'm saying, am I thinking too much? But then when he passed, I wanted to take a step back because I was actually on the corner. So when he passed, I'd have to go back to the corner to see the direction that he was going. And so as I about to step back, I noticed he made a turn around and was heading back in my direction. Just as he came towards.
That's kind of suspicious.
So while I was outside, he turned back. So he actually came very close to me. But then as he approaches me, my neighbor came around. So I was right now in the middle of this. So he didn't know what to say, but he asked for if we know of any young lady that lives in the community that work at Wasinko. So then my spirit grew and I said, no one lives around here that works at Wasinko. And he walked away and he head in the direction where the first man went. Anyway, I wasn't put in the both situation. So after that, after he left, I went back inside now. So I was actually inside now, not in the house, but actually in the yard at this time. The door was wide open, the gate was open because I am washing, I'm sweeping, and I'm doing my outdoor duties. While I was doing that, I was just so focused, and I was just still singing, but focused on getting whatever I have that I had to do as quickly as possible. Not knowing that this was a plan of the enemy. So while I was there, I, just God sent a second person. So while I was there, as you know, as she told you, I'm a little bit known in the community. So while I was there trying to wrap up again, my next neighbor was passing and he stopped. Usually he don't, he just always just wave and say, I teach, but this particular morning, he stopped and he was saying, I brought my baby to visit you, but you weren't there. And I said, I just started holding conversation.
Yeah, just have like conversation,
yeah,
and it's unusual, yeah.
But I don't know what was allowing me to ask him a lot of questions that I don't know. These questions just keep coming, and he was like answering. And as soon as he walked off, my head was down, and I just heard a voice said, don't move. Immediately when I heard that voice, I thought it was a gentleman that had walked off. They wanted, like somebody was talking to, because I know I've never ever in any confrontation, I'm never involved in anything with violence with anybody. Nobody I know that we have a dispute or anything about. So when I heard don't move, I looked in the direction where my neighbor went. And I didn't saw my neighbor was already gone. And so when I looked up, I realized it was a police car. And when I looked to my right, I saw the same first guy that passed that told me to whatever. And so when I saw him now and I looked up, I realized that he was actually pointing a gun right in my face. While he was pointing the gun and I looked, there was a police. I don't know how the police car reached there. I didn't saw a police car, but the police car came. So I am on the corner, I'm inside. The police was parked right here and the gentleman was coming in my direction.
With the gun. So I hope you guys can visualize this. So there is you, and then there's a police car.
The police car just came up and said, don't move.
Yeah, which is very coincidental. And then there's the same guy who wanted to tame the dog pointing the gun directly at you.
Right. Up on this point, when the police said, don't move, I did not saw the guy. So when he said the police said don't move, I thought he was actually talking to my neighbor. So I looked in the direction where my neighbor went. And then I didn't saw my neighbor, so I looked to my right when I noticed that it was the guy with the gun. I lose it. So as the police opened the door, as the policeman came out and opened the door, because he already had the gun in his hand, I just realized he made about 2 or 3 steps back and he started firing. So he was firing at the policeman at this point because he wanted to probably make escape or think he could have did something differently.
Yeah. I'm assuming he was probably shocked that the police was there, because if the police wasn't there, then he wouldn't have any body intervening with what he was trying to do.
But what I thought that because he was focused on coming to get me, he wasn't actually observing that the police car was coming in his direction.
Oh.
And so the focus was really on me because he was probably waiting for my neighbor to go. And as soon as my neighbor walked off, he was just coming directly towards me. This was when the police was coming up, the car was coming up and saw what was going on. I was shocked and I didn't move for about a few seconds, even when the shots were firing. Because they were firing back and forth, and when I was just looking and saying, isn't this the guy? This wasn't just the guy who came.
So about how many shots was happening at this point?
Like as he started firing, as soon as the police came out, he was the one that started firing. So at about 4 or 5 shots was going on, though, wow. I realized that I had to cover.
Yeah.
And so I jumped down. I realized that my dog wanted me to get in as well, and so I had to took cover with
the dog. Yeah. So she actually went into the dog house with the dog while there was open firing.
Yeah, so I was now able to see the police firing back, but I could not see the young gentleman that was firing. But I know he was firing a lot because the police had to be behind the car and shooting. So it was like a movie scene to me. During this time, I was still not knowing that I was the one he was coming for, because as I said, I've never ever in a situation all my life experiencing this. And so back and forth, and then he had escaped out of this community and find himself over to another community. Now at this time, everybody came out. Although the policemen, they were saying, stay inside, they were calling for backup. Everybody came out. I took cover, I stayed inside, and I would not talk about it. Because I didn't want the community to know that something like this was happening. And was happening to me.
Yeah.
Wow. So afterwards I went back and I called you again.
Yeah.
And I said I was sharing the experience at the same young gentleman came back, and at this time while I was calling you, there was still shot firing where you could have actually heard the shots firing. And I called and I said, this is the same guy, and he chased the police. There was a lot of chasing going on, and he was really, firing back at the police. And
yeah,
so
when you called me, I was really, really alarmed. But then again, everything made sense. Like at that point, everything made sense to me because it felt so heavy on my spirit. So like as soon as you called me, I'm like, whoa, there it was right. The feeling that I was feeling, the intuition I was feeling was right. People might be wondering why I didn't call your husband.
So actually, he was on a flight and
to come see
me, and
the same day while this was happening.
Right.
So
he was coming home, and this was happening. And so
this would have not been a good day for him.
This would not be a good day for him, as you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, while I was inside, I thought that was it. Then I heard the news that he was over another community, and they caught upon him and he got killed, which that wasn't what I wanted. I was just hoping that they could have held him and some form of punishment, but not being killed.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the police had to kill him based on how he was retaliating. Like he was aiming to kill, so I'm guessing that's how the police could have protected themselves, or even like maybe it was hard to even get him restrained. So
yeah, but actually it was 2 police cars, and they wasn't the one who killed him. It was really a ex-policeman who saw what was happening, and that's how he was killed. However, during this time I thought I was out of the situation, because as I told you, I went in and I locked up. Then the police, they came back and they take off the area, and they wanted to talk to me. That's when I knew that it was really, I was really the one. So the police, after they came and they take off, they wanted to talk to me, because the police, they were saying that he was so close to me, and it must have been something. I'm not sure if it's robbery. And I up until now, it could have been, I don't know, I thought, with my intention, I thought he wanted to come toward me to get me inside, and then to see what he could have gotten. But probably would have killed me because I didn't have any money inside, so there's nothing for me to give him. And so probably that was his plan. But during that same interaction with the police, the second guy that he passed, he was also in the situation, running up and down, and in the crowd, and they're not knowing that he was a part of it.
Yeah, so the second guy who was seeking to find somebody in the community, he was a part of it. So this was a whole setup, and it was a whole plan.
Okay, and so the police, when the policemen came back, they were saying that he wasn't planned, he was not sent out to my community. While he was passing the community, a voice told him to just turn back and turn in the community, and he did not listen to the voice, so he continued going. And when he reached the second turn, the voice said to him, that's what he told me, turn around and go back up to in the community, and then he said, you know, he could not disobey the second voice, so he turned back and he came there. It's like exactly where he was led to go. That was right in the situation. And so, you know, we have to believe in our Creator and what, you know, we are told to do and obey. And in the they came and they were questioning, and he was saying that they were asking me a lot of questions, if I'm in any conflict with anybody, if I have, because they're saying for him to come because he was really well harmed. And they're saying that he's the first, this policeman is saying all his years in policing, he has never ever seen someone so fierce like this gentleman, because he was actually firing at them, which usually when people, the police, they will come out and say that, you know, gunmen fire at them and they get killed. I'm saying, oh no, nothing like that, because a man or a gunman would not really aim at a police
towards a police unless it would be a serious situation. That intervention would have prevented them from committing the crime.
Right. So to see how he was so fierce firing at the police himself was awesome. And thank you. You know yourself from 100-man police station, you know, he always come and look for me back when I was there, because he realized what could have happened and how he had saved me, and I thank you so much.
So anybody from 100-man police station in Portmore who is watching this video, who knows this gentleman and this incident, you guys can go ahead and share it to him. So we're thanking you for listening to the word and actually being present and protecting my mom. So yeah, this is a story.
For these young men who going out there seeking to just kill women like this without no reason, if it's a robbery, just want to kill someone, or is that just incident where you think you're so weak that you cannot even communicate and you feel like to kill them or just to go for a gun? Is that simple to take someone's life? You know, we just need to differ from this situation, because when you do this, it just tells how weak you are. And you might have me leaving my country for a short while, but this is not
permanent.
This is not going to stop me from I've been still visiting back, but just that, because this was giving me a real anxiety for about 2 years, and I realized that I could not function as how I used to.
So you had to migrate.
I had to just migrate and just to get things and get my mind settled. But I'll be back
to Jamaica. Yes, Jamaica is always home. Yes guys, so we come to the end of this video. If you guys see us smiling, even though it's a very sensitive topic and very difficult topic for us, this is something that we tend to do. It's how we cope. A lot of people always see me smile, and it usually happens when I'm nervous or if I'm uncomfortable. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. I know story times are very powerful. There's always a message, and there's always somebody that can learn from something or relate to something. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Watch my other videos if you haven't watched them as yet. If you want to see Mommy back on the channel, comment and let me know what you guys want to see. I might get her to come again. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.